Welcome to PAX East. I headed over to Boston to check out what the VR devs were showcasing this time, and while it was only a handful, I am pleased to say that there were more here than at PAX West. Schell Games also had a booth here and were showcasing I Expect You to Die 2, along with selling some unique con-exclusive merch. I'm sure in future conventions we'll start seeing some Among Us VR demos, which will be super exciting. Davigo also made an appearance showing off the desktop version of their game and handing out some super sweet stickers. I was lucky enough to be able to play early demos and interview some of the developers of these VR games we can look forward to in the near future, so let's check them out. You may have seen Davigo around Twitter or TikTok. It's basically a VR versus PC game where the VR user plays as a giant against up to 4 other non-VR players. The goal, of course, is to eliminate one another. I got to play in VR perspective as the giant. You have a couple of different ways you can attack, using your hands to swat around the player, a couple of different ground pound attacks, one which causes shockwaves and another which spawns blocks for you to throw. You can also use the environment and literally chuck things at your opponent. While it sounds easy being the giant, your opponent isn't totally defenseless. They can shoot rockets and other weapons placed around the map at you, which you'll need to dodge. The more damage inflicted to you, the more your face starts to come apart, and you can view the status of your health by looking at your reflection on the back of your hands. Davigo was part of the PAX East Rising showcase, showing off amazing teams of indie devs. Davigo is still in development, but will be available on Steam, and they are exploring Quest support. However, if you'd like to try the alpha now, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/Davigo. While The Last Worker did not have a VR version to try at PAX, I did get to try about the first 20 minutes of the game on a desktop version. I could already tell that the game is going to be very heavy on story and narrative, and based on the controls, I could already see how some of the movements and controls could translate to VR. I got a lot of very Portal backstage vibes, and I can't wait to get my hands on the full game.
All right, so we're here at PAX. I just tried The Last Worker. So basically, give me a little bit about the synopsis. What can we expect from the game?
So you are Kurt, the last human worker in a near-future fulfillment center the size of the sunken city of Manhattan. Because it's a sad future. But actually it's a lovely, colorful future because we're making a dystopia unlike our own in which we live in that is actually quite fun to be in, hopefully. And on this fateful day, you get approached by a group of activists from the outside who, in the 25 years they've been working here, have observed the world going to shit. And so, and they want to recruit you to try and dismantle this corporation called 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐿, which has absolutely nothing to do with a certain retailer. So now you're going to have to balance your day-to-day work when trying not to get fired, while also taking on some missions to dive into the dark underbelly of corporate fascism.
Although I tried it on desktop, which makes sense because we're in a convention, it is going to be out on VR eventually. So can you explain some of the differences between what I played on desktop and what's going to be in VR as far as mechanics or controls?
We want one-to-one comparison, so the mechanics in VR compared to the mechanics on the flat version are very similar. On the desktop version, we'll have more kind of mini games and more kind of input into interactions, and then with VR, you've got more physical interaction, which in itself is just satisfying and really nice to do.
Fitness game. No, it's not really a fitness game, but it's a but it is, you can get a workout. It's not easy lifting boxes.
I only tried a very brief demo, but the voice acting from what I heard so far was phenomenal. So are there any maybe well-known voice actors or actresses or any familiar voices that we can expect later on in the game?
We have an incredible cast, and so that's really made this pandemic a little bit more bearable, working with all these amazing people. So we've got Jason Isaacs, who you might know from Star Trek Discovery, Captain Lorca, or Harry Potter, where he played some baddie with big, long, blonde hair. Zelda Williams, Legend of Korra, who's amazing, and Claire Hope Ashity from Children of Men, and Tommy Earl Jenkins, who you might have seen as Die Hard Man and Death Stranding, and David Hewlett, who was in Oddworld, New and Tasty, but you will probably know him from Shape of Water and also with amazing films. And I'm forgetting someone. Olafur Dari Olafsson, who is Kurt, who's kind of important because he's the lead. So. And we've actually modeled the character after him as well. He is actually Iceland's sexiest man, It's true. There was an article about it in GQ, and so we have Iceland's sexiest man voicing Kurt. So there you go.
So what platforms can we expect the game on, and is there an estimated release date yet, or is it still up in the air?
That's going to be later this year. And then let's list them off. So we PC VR, PlayStation, Xbox Series S and X, Nintendo Switch.
Meta Quest 2.
Quest 2, yes.
So basically everywhere and anywhere that you can, right?
Everywhere.
Well, really impressive work, you guys. Thank you again so much for letting me try it out and for taking the time. And I'm very excited to have other people come and try it as well.
Broken Spectre is another game that's going to be heavily story-based and slightly spooky. At PAX, they were giving out comic books to offer insight on the background of the main character. Broken Spectre uses hand tracking, which I think is pretty new for this type of genre, although controllers will be supported as well, of course. The demo I tried with hand tracking, there was no free movement. Navigation was done by finding a shadow version of your father, holding out your compass, and then making a closing motion of your hand to teleport to that direction. I wasn't too much a fan of that locomotion style, but everything else like solving puzzles and climbing with hand tracking was pretty good. I also love dark, cult, sick and twisted games, which it seems Broken Spectre will be very heavily based on.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Vicky from Broken Spectre, which is, I'll let her of course explain more about it, but it's basically a VR horror game. So can you tell us a little bit more about it, as well as, I got to try it on the Quest, but will it be on other platforms as well?
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, so Broken Spectre VR is a hand tracking controlled game. It is a cosmic horror story. So if you're really into like psychological, existential dread type anxious games, this is right up your alley. We are developing it currently for the Quest 2. We do have plans potentially down the road for other headsets, but since the Quest is like the biggest one on the market right now, if you have limited resources as a developer, you go for that one first. So we are hoping to release that soon, either towards the end of this year or early next year.
Yeah, that's so cool. So like, I'm sorry, getting just super distracted by the trailer, but one thing that is really highlighted in the game is the fact that it features hand tracking. So that, you know, makes sense to be on the Quest platform for that. But do you know kind of what inspired the decision to go with hand tracking versus using traditional controllers, or?
That's a really great question. As developers, it's because we could. We wanted the challenge of like taking immersion to that extra step of what if you didn't have controllers in your way? Because with VR, it's about immersion, and sometimes just holding controller, you kind of remember that you're playing a game, but if you're in there, you kind of feel more like you're touching things and you're in the environment. So that was our main goal. But we do have plans to also add like controller support for people who really don't want to use their hands, and we will be bringing it to mobile as well. So it could be like a tap and touch screen game. Like technically, we could do that.
Interesting. Yeah. So you, before the cameras were rolling, you kind of told me a couple of inspirations that the game was sort of based on. Sorry, could you retell those again? Because I think that's like really, it kind of hits the nail on the head of what the vibe of the demo was that I tried.
Absolutely. So one of our biggest inspirations and games we drew some notes from was Gone Home, which is very ambient. It's not a jump scary type of game at all. And I'm not going to spoil Gone Home for anyone who hasn't played it, but it is always in your head. And that is the type of narrative that we want to evoke with Broken Spectre. We also wanted to draw some notes from Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which is about a little boy who goes missing in a sleepy town. And you find more about that when you play that game. But so yeah, Broken Spectre, I don't want to spoil the story because it's all about the story. So you just have to check it out when it comes out on Meta.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. So remind me again, when could we find this game out so we can actually get our hands on it and be able to try it? Because I'm super excited to play the full game.
We are hoping to be able to release end of this year or early next year. But if you want to stay tuned on our socials, we'll be updating all of that news as we get our launch dates from Meta Quest. You can find us at Games by Stitch on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's Games by Stitch, all one word, on all of our platforms. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Super excited. I love Sick and Twisted, so I can't wait.
Pin City is, as you can expect, a VR bowling game. However, if you're expecting just casual straight down the lane bowling, that's where you'd be wrong. Pin City plans on featuring crazy additions to their lanes like fire, tubes, ramps, axes, and much more, comparing these additions to what you'd expect to see in something like mini golf. Pin City is actually not Studio 217's first game. They are also the team behind Mr. Mart, which was a hilarious game in which you play as a customer service representative at a bad grocery store with annoying customers that you can punch. Pin City is currently only single player, but the developers realize the important aspect of social VR for a game like bowling, and do have multiplayer plans on the roadmap. Pin City will initially release on the Quest, although a Steam version might be possible down the line, and they're hoping to release by the end of the year. You may have actually tried Arcade Legend before if you tested out some of the demos in a previous Steam Next Fest. Well, here they are at PAX, and I got to make a fool of myself demoing the Speed of Light machine in VR.
So I am here at the Arcade Legends booth. Tell us a little bit about Arcade Legends. What kind of a game is it? What can we expect?
So we make real-world arcade games. We've been making games for 60 years. All of the games inside Arcade Legend are our real IP. They translate great to VR. They're all physical games of skill. We leveraged COVID as a period to do something different because nobody was buying arcade games. So we decided to leverage what we were good at and turn our real-world games into VR games.
It's a big transition from arcade, something physical, to VR. So what was kind of, you mentioned COVID a little bit, but was there any other reasons as to why you decided to just dive in completely to VR? Or not completely, are you still doing arcade stuff on the side too? Or?
Absolutely, yeah. We're still 100% doing arcade games. We've actually got 2 pipelines now, which is great. So we didn't pivot at all. We expanded during COVID, which is really exciting. We're 100% arcade focused. Everything that we do is all about arcades. And we're continuing to grow. And all the games that we're making in the future too, they're going to be featured in Arcade Legend at some stage.
Do you have like a kind of a number amount that we can expect in the game?
So yeah, when we launch, we're going to launch with about 15 games. We are working with some other big name industry manufacturers who are going to be, we've actually got one agreement struck. I can't name who it is at this stage, but they are games that everybody knows and some of the biggest IP in the world from other game manufacturers, which is really exciting. So those will be part of Arcade Legend, and we're going to continue to work with other arcade game manufacturers to bring more games in. So Arcade Legend is really kind of the first step in a lot of expansive growth for us in VR. But like you said earlier, we're going to continue to make traditional real-world arcade games. There's no stopping that either.
So exciting. So obviously here, due to space and time and everything, I got to try like sort of a more single-player experience. But is there any multiplayer aspects that we can look forward to? Or?
Multiplayer is going to be a massive part of this game. So I'm not sure the number of players that will be able to participate at once. I think we're going to have up to 5 people in multiplayer, but you can also unlock your arcade and let randoms come into yours if you want to do that. It's a real social, arcades are a really social environment in real life, and it's a perfect environment to do social multiplayer stuff. I'm a huge multiplayer fan myself. And so creating a lot of games and prizes that you can get out of the prize shop that are just stuff that you can mess around with and have fun with in VR. That's what it's all about.
Super exciting. I can't wait for it to come out. But speaking of release, is there kind of an estimated release date yet? And also, what platforms are you planning on having the game out on?
We're going to be doing a dual launch on Steam and the official Oculus Quest store. It's not an App Labs release. It's the official Oculus Quest store. It will be before the end of the year. I don't have an exact date that I can give you right now, but it will be this year, and we're looking at Q4.
Awesome. Well, where can we find more about Arcade Legends? You have a social media, website, all that?
We are on Steam, Discord, all social media channels. If you go to arcadelegendvr.com, that's kind of a jumping off point for a lot of different platforms you can find us on, or arcadelegendvr.com/Steam. You can wishlist the game, and we would highly appreciate that.
There's a lot more travel in my future, from AWE to the Games of Change Festival to potentially TwitchCon Amsterdam. Are there any gaming conventions you'd like to or are planning on attending in the near future? I'm sure there may be others out there that I've missed, and I love talking to VR developers and the whole convention scene, so let me know if there are any more that I may have missed in the comments below. As always, keep on creating and never lose that drive to improve. I'll see you on the next one.